First, this speech was billed as bipartisan, but hours before the president gave it, when he was having lunch with reporters, he took a jab at the late Senator John McCain. He said that Joe Biden was dumb. That was just a couple hours before the speech. Then he gave the speech. He talked a bit about bipartisanship. But do you think it moved the political needle at all?
No, I feel like I've been kind of a broken record on State of the Union. I really agree with Peter. I think because this president speaks all of the time through Twitter to the press more than any other president, it wasn't special. It wasn't a new message. And I also just think the partisan back and forth, he also got in a fight over Twitter with Senator Schumer. It just is kind of the same thing over and over again. And the polarization of Washington and the State of the Union did nothing to bring things together or to give any sense that coming out of it, you had Democrats and Republicans looking to lock arms on really any issue.
Chris, the president got plenty of support from Republicans last night across the board, but not when he alluded to partisan investigations, and then he linked them to the economy. Does that signal anything to you?
Well, I think what it does, one, I don't, to what Anna said, I really feel like this president can't win when it comes to this situation. He's criticized for not having enough press conferences or not speaking to the press enough when he travels and calling them in enough to the Air Force One. And they said, well, he speaks too much, so we can't actually, what
I don't think she
matter.
said he speaks too much.
He said he's always talking to, he's always saying things, he's always speaking, he's always communicating.
He's always lying.
Something like this.
Well, let's go with that.
And from a standpoint of, I will say from a unity standpoint, I think one of the greatest speechwriters of the 20th century is Peggy Noonan. And I was taken aback by her comments last night when she called it an adept speech from a policy standpoint and pointed out several of his comments that she thought would cut through the clutter. And then you look at the polling that comes out right after it, and you have, when I was looking at it this morning, 76% of those people who found it favorable are people who I don't think will vote for him in 2020. And that to me is remarkable. When you have a president who can go and give a speech, which I believe was a good speech, I believe it was well received, and just I think for the most part it was bipartisan in its nature and was built around unity. And then at that point you have people on the other side who find it.
If I may, why do you think he lied so many times then? Lied about illegal border crossings, lied about the economy. If it was such a great speech about unity and the economy is doing so well, which it is, why lie?
Well, lying about the economy. What he said was, he said he had continued a great economic structure.
No, he didn't actually.
He said unemployment was at the long-time low with women, Hispanics,
that's not what he
disabled.
Said. He said he created the greatest economy in U.S. history. That's a lie. He said he created 5.3 million jobs. That's a lie. He said we are now the #1 producer of oil and gas, which we have been for 7 years. Those are lies, sir.
Now, are you talking about from a standpoint of when it began or how that has continued? And I think that's where we get into this infective whenever we parse his comments down to a level that I don't believe we've done with past presidents. And look, I feel like I've been just as critical of Donald Trump as anybody else has.
President Obama for wearing a tan suit.
Okay, but we didn't call him a liar for wearing a tan suit.
Because he wasn't.
And the one time whenever it's a different level of judgment. I feel like that he is being put up against in terms of his specific comments.
You know, I'm just a fact nut. So for me, when you say you've created 600,000 manufacturing jobs and the number is 400,
which the head of the U.S. Manufacturing Association tweeted afterwards, it was correct.
And the Bureau of Labor and Statistics says 454,000. John?
Well, look, the real Donald Trump was the one who spoke off the record to the correspondents at lunch yesterday, where he attacked a dead war hero and used schoolyard names to castigate opponents. The reason that the needle didn't move last night, Chris, is he spent 2 years lying to the American people. He has a 60% disapproval rating, and that's he has a really hard number against him. He can't move it because he has concrete on top of him of his own doing. He's lied and he's lied and he's lied. I thought
Do you
last
think there's
night,
anything he could have done that would have moved it, though?
Look, actions first.
Mm-hmm.
The problem.
I mean, in the speech.
Well, in the speech, it was a yawner. He kind of low energy went through the embroidery of bipartisanship. He didn't really believe in it. You could tell by the low energy. He didn't really get excited until he started talking about the things that he cares about. Talking about socialism, which nobody in there really is for socialism except for a handful of people. Socialism, which he's trying to lay the contour for 2020, and then getting back to this false narrative that he's putting out about immigration. That's where he really got excited, and the country's already made its mind up about those issues.
Jason, yesterday I spoke to Mikey Sherrill, a newly elected Democrat from New Jersey. She said she could work with the president on things like drug prices and immigration. He brought those, and infrastructure, not immigration. He brought those things up last night. Do you think there is a path for Democrats and Republicans to work together on issues like that matter to so many Americans?
Highly unlikely with an election coming next year. There will be certain things like some criminal justice reform that they'll help him with, and maybe you'll have...
criminal justice reform, you've got to say, is a big win.
And these are legitimate issues, and like I said, Republicans and Democrats will work on those. But I think large issues like infrastructure, like rebuilding, fixing Highway 75 in Ohio that people have been talking about for years. Obama was there, Boehner was there, and everybody else like that. I don't think he's going to get those things accomplished. There's no political incentive for Democrats to do that, and the president thus far has not demonstrated himself to be the kind of person who can really negotiate. There's not much he's offering. And this is the thing. I personally think it was the most disciplined speech I have ever heard from President Trump, even candidate Trump. He actually stayed on message the whole time. The problem is it's not a unifying message. It's not a message that makes Democrats want to work with him, but it was a message that he very much targeted at Republicans, and I think they were happy.
Is it a message that is authentic to what he believes?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
I don't know that I can answer that. I mean, I don't know him well enough to speak to what he truly believes from a standpoint of it. But I will say, I think that he was the most.
How do you say you don't know what he believes? I mean, we know what he believes.
Does he believe that we should end childhood cancer? Does he believe that we should end AIDS?
Everyone believes that. Hold on a second. Can you tell me anyone? Can you please tell me anyone who believes we shouldn't end?
I saw a lot of people didn't
cancer?
stand and applaud for it.
For that?
Yeah, I did, and it was surprising to me because I do think that people are judged on that, and I think the parties are judged on that. And I thought it was awful when Obama spoke, and he spoke to unifying themes, and we saw Republicans sit on their hands. And I think it's awful whenever Trump did it. I saw a 90-year-old man who stormed the beaches of Normandy, who stood and stand and applauded more for the country than elected Democrats in the audience. And I think that is a bad image for a party. It was a bad image for our party and Obama. It's a bad image for Democrats under Trump.
I also saw a president who was so jealous of that he said they wouldn't do that for me. Look, his sort of pettiness and venality is not something that's going to magically change because he gives an hour and 20-minute speech. That's really the issue we sort of see here. And I also think, well, he's not going to. But I think a critical thing that's also happening here is every single president has given this speech after they get beaten in the midterms. We saw this from Bush. We saw this from Obama. The issue is, once you say, the President Obama's like, all right, I hear you. You have to convince the opposing party that now controls one or both of the houses of Congress that you actually want to work with them. And when the president's overall theme is, hey, as long as you guys want to actually do your job and operate as a check and balance on me, you won't get anything done. They hear that. Pelosi hears that. The party hears that. And it's not a message of unity. But everybody knew that about Trump. They knew that wasn't going to change.
Anna, John noted it before, but I want to ask you about that notable moment in the speech when the president attacked sort of this newly minted far left agenda. Take a listen.
Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Anna, what do you make of that kind of language in a speech like this?
I think it was surprising. I don't think a lot of people thought he was going to say to talk about socialism. I do think it is a total base play. I think this is something that the Democrats are having to wrestle with a little bit, as the energy on the left is really among the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Bernie Sanders wing of the party. And so he clearly jabbed right into the fire of where Democrats are having some of their own soul searching. Is the majority of the party socialist? Of course not. But I do think this is something that is going to come up in 2020, and he kind of laid the groundwork for how I think he's trying to own that argument.
John, did you see any exit ramp for the president and the wall and immigration, or is he setting the stage for a national emergency?
It appears he's setting the stage for a national emergency or another shutdown, as far-fetched as that could be. There doesn't seem to be any interest in the White House in a real solution or allowing the appropriators to come up with a deal where everybody can declare victory or give in a little bit and move forward. Sometimes you just have to eat crow in order to survive and fight another day, but this president doesn't seem to get that.
I've been naive or optimistic thinking that Republicans and Democrats are actually going to work together right now so we don't face another shutdown. Where do you think we're headed after that speech?
You know, you had Congressman Dan Crenshaw on Morning Joe this morning. I thought he really did a good job of sort of specifying the differences between the rhetoric and the actuality. And he said that he's shared that many Democrats have said that we want to work with you on this. Right now, our leadership is making it very difficult for us. But the language about this is all about a wall. But the truth is the funding goes for much more than a wall. It goes for more judges to adjudicate very quickly the immigrants that are coming across.
Democrats are up for that. Democrats are up for lots of money to be spent on border
It's the
security.
president who won't support that.
That
would pass immediately, and it could be signed tomorrow.
I think it would. And that's what Crenshaw said. If it were passed, the president has told him he would sign it.
Well, they should pass something.
I agree.
They should pass something
I
and
agree.
force him to either
But
sign
it
it or
requires
not sign
commitment
it.
from the president, and he stabbed Mitch McConnell in the back, and he's demonstrated that he will change his mind at the last minute. Congress has been ready to get most of this done, but the president wouldn't allow a clean bill. So the idea after last night's speech that anyone would be any more enthusiastic or any more optimistic about us not having a shutdown was all but destroyed, because he pretty much said, that's what I'm prepared to do. I'm going to ruin Valentine's Day for everybody.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.